Good morning.
Hello.
It's Friday.
Sure is. Happy Friday.
Hey, what's up, Rachel?
We have a wild Rachel on the loose.
Hey, it's me. Very wild.
Woohoo! A rare sighting of a wild Rachel.
Yeah, I'm getting my laundry started. I'll be right back.
Okay. Awesome. How's it going, Mark? What are you drinking?
My mud water,
Mud water.
my mushroom mix. Yeah.
Is it good? I just imagine that mixing powders with water always has those little chunks in it.
Yeah. It has a it has residue at the bottom, but you just pour it another thing of hot water and it's fine.
Sure.
I switch it up with either agave or honey.
Nice.
So it's pretty good. And then I put MCT oil as well.
Okay.
And that's a bit sweet too, obviously from coconut. So
It's like a bulletproof mud water.
kinda, yeah, without the butter.
Well, MCT oil takes the place of butter.
Yeah.
Butter. Do you like whip it to make it all frothy?
It comes with a little whipping device. I just use a spoon.
Okay.
I don't have time for that.
Fine.
Hey,
Hi,
Sasha.
Sasha.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy
y'all doing?
Friday.
So,
How are we doing? I couldn't get out of bed today, which is pretty normal. So I haven't gone for my walk in the forest.
do you have a forest near you?
Yeah, it's a tiny baby forest. And it has a tiny little walking path meandering through it. So you can kind of pretend that you're in a big forest because it doubles back before the clearing and you can be surrounded by trees for a little while. It's adorable.
That's awesome.
Are you bathing in the forest?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm aware of the proper forest bathing techniques. I need instruction.
You're doing it wrong, Sarah.
Do I have to like wear certain non-clothes or
Yep.
follow a specified breathing pattern or some other ritual?
I think you just have to absorb it.
Okay, then.
Just be one with the
hope I'm doing
trees.
that.
Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Rachel.
Hello, how is everyone?
Another wild Rachel in the loose.
How's everyone's Friday?
You guys, we have another Rachel joining.
This is unfair.
Wild Rachel Day.
3 Rachels.
Holy moly, how are we going to handle it? A very rare triple Rachel sighting. Oh my gosh, if another Rachel comes in, I don't know what I'm going to do.
I hope another Rachel comes in. I hope that happens.
I'm gonna freak out. Hi, Danny.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going well.
Awesome.
Taking a little break at work. Coffee break.
Coffee break. What's everybody drinking? I am drinking water, so excite me.
Black coffee.
Cool.
Coffee.
Cool.
I've got water and tea.
Ooh, double fisting it. Nice.
Nice.
Nice. Hi, Lindsay.
Hello.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you again too. I like your background today.
Oh, thank you. We have 3 Rachels today, but the third Rachel's having some issues connecting to audio.
Mhm.
Well, cool. Do you want to announce your thing, Sasha? Should we start?
Yeah, I would love to announce my thing.
Should we put a drum roll?
Put a drum roll. Da-da-da-da-da-da. We have a new thing to announce. Sasha's idea. It's really awesome.
Climate design for fun.
Woo!
Yeah, I hopefully some of you guys have seen that in the community already, but yesterday I launched a new fun activity for anyone who wants to participate. We'll be doing prompts once a week on Sundays, announcing them, and they'll be the ones that we have so far anyway are kind of a little bit goofy and fun. And yes, I will post a link. But just to get people to like have something to work on that's fun and doesn't take a lot of your time. And we encourage like very rough designs like sketches and kind of concept art to solve the prompts that we'll be posting on Sunday. So you can sign up. You don't have to sign up, but you can. I encourage it because then we'll have your Instagram handle if we end up featuring the work that you submit.
Yeah.
And then once the prompt is announced, you have 1 week to complete it. And hopefully we'll see some fun solutions to the challenges.
Sweet. Sasha, Mark had an idea. What would you think of announcing the prompts during this coffee break meeting? And what would you all think about spending some time during the coffee break to maybe review the top 3 or something like that? So maybe just like shifting it from Sundays to Fridays.
Yeah, we could definitely shift.
Yeah, maybe just like, 8 minutes or so. It doesn't have to take all of coffee break, obviously, but maybe the first few minutes, just, highlight the previous week's submissions, talk about the upcoming week. So this way it's recorded and it's on YouTube, and then I post it on Mighty so people can get it from all angles.
Yeah, that way there's some time for us to talk live about the prompt and
it can spark conversation after, like depending on what we are showing, it might spark a really interesting chat for the rest of the coffee break. So Sasha, can you give us, maybe don't reveal too much, but maybe some examples of some prompts, just so we can get a sense of what we might be working on?
Sure. Well, I'll give one that I'll just give like an example of one that we may or may not use farther down the line. How about that? So then maybe you'll like just forget about it by the time if we actually end up using it. All right. So something like, what could be better than stopping climate change by just sitting around watching TV? What's a way to make watching your favorite TV show carbon negative?
cool. We're trying to have fun with these. I like it.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to choose prompts, but like that help break the conventional thinking of like always focusing on individual action and like helping to push for systemic change. And I think that's a great example of it. Like you do nothing except what you like, and you're saving the world. Love it.
Yeah. And trying to keep it very, very like casual and not super serious. Keep everything lighthearted. Because
And
we
also,
all need breaks from the serious sometimes.
Yeah, and Sasha, maybe share a little bit about, because these are broad, because we have so many different types of designers in our community, everyone can kind of interpret it however they want and then use their specific skills.
Yeah, so most of these prompts we've tried really hard to like make not specific to a single industry. So like, there are so many different types of designers in our community, and people would like to do different types of design. Even if you're a brand designer, for example, you might want to try your hand at designing a product. So we encourage everybody to use what they want to be doing or what they think they're good at, or what they feel to solve the prompt. It doesn't have to be an ad campaign, it doesn't have to be a product, it doesn't have to be like a specific type of design to solve the prompt. You can kind of think of it in whatever type of design that you do. And we also kind of a secondary thing on that note that we're going to try after the first week is responses to other people's designs. So I think we're kind of seeing how the first week goes, but then once the first designs are launched, if there is something that someone else made that you're really inspired by and you want to add on to it, if somebody did design a product and you're really inspired to make a logo for it, or like, expand on it a little bit, then we'll be encouraging people to take what other people have done and use it to inspire a new idea or the expansion on that idea.
Yeah, we've got 27 people in the circle already, and there's also a sign up form to help hold people accountable to remember to do the prompt. And I'm already seeing 10 signups for the first prompt. So exciting.
Even though you guys don't even know what it is yet.
I know, I love it.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I
Thank you
like
to those of you who have signed up.
I like the idea of like building off of other people's projects, because you never know what that can spark, and you never know like, what that could eventually, ever turn into if people decide to like team up. And is that a thing? If like for these prompts, can people team up and do that as well for a week?
Absolutely. I think that the power in this group is the combinations of like a brand designer and an industrial designer and a writer or something. Like you can do a lot more together than you could by yourself.
And
True.
and something that we haven't talked about, the three of us putting this together, Sasha's obviously spearheading this, but going off of Rachel, your comment just now, who's to say that this can't spark these like mini startups that we've been talking about, where we can use the Climate Designers Network, use our networks, use our skills as the core team to push these ideas even further. So, I mean, yeah, something I'm thinking about just now, like this could be an opportunity to incubate, new ideas and new projects that we can actually launch. So why the hell not?
Anything is possible.
Yes, love that.
I'm excited to get started on the first prompt. I'm excited to see what it is.
Sweet. Danny commented in all caps, I love this.
Yeah, it was really seeing like how many people have signed up so far has made me pretty happy. Definitely made my day yesterday.
Yay. I love that.
I'm curious if the prompts will align with the monthly themes that we'll be setting.
That is a possibility.
Yeah, hopefully once we have themes, it might spark some more ideas for prompts and vice versa.
Yeah, and as this goes on, like I think the three of us have brainstormed a good number of prompts to get started. But if anyone ever has ideas for prompts that they would like to contribute, feel free to reach out with those.
Send us your creative prompt ideas.
Yeah, and also this ties into the CD/EDU work that we've been doing, Eric and Rachel. Ideally, what we would love to do is develop a repository of project ideas, design prompts for educators, so they can literally just kind of pick and choose off the shelf whatever next design project they would want to implement in their classroom. So we already have the design prompts from the guests of Climify. We have a handful of design prompts that we've already created in kind of a CD/EDU V1. And then I think with this stuff that Sasha's putting together, I think this could also add to that. So, and it doesn't just have to necessarily be for educators and students. It can also just be professionals as well. So I would love to see kind of a project database that are just open source briefs that anyone can use and riff off of. So yeah, your ideas are welcome.
Welcome, Morgan. We're talking about the
Hey, Morgan.
design for fun idea, which you might have seen on the community. She nods. Okay, sweet.
So yeah, what's been going on this week? Any updates, news, anything you want to share, complain about, champion?
I have a thing. um, I am having trouble. I've been reading about the like collapse of the of the Gulf. What is it? The currents and the
Gulf Stream.
Yes, the Atlantic
Yeah, the Gulf
Meridian.
and
The
it's like,
acronym is AMUC, and I just think
yeah,
about how the world is going amok if it collapses. Yes.
yeah, and it's just really scary. And I'm kind of like, I don't want to, you know, I'm already can't stop thinking about it, and like I don't really know how to handle it,
Aye.
I guess.
I'm glad that you brought that up, though. That's a good first step, right?
Yeah, I mean, like this community obviously will care. I tried to like ask my boss what he thinks, and he's just like, how do they even know it was 16,000 or 1600 years ago? I was like, I don't know, man. I just like,
Here's
but
an
I guess,
explainer video for people in the chat if you don't have any idea what we're talking about. Whoa.
um, yeah, so I think just when stuff like this happens, it's so important to hold on to hope. And we talk about that a lot. And that's kind of where I like what I like to focus on in this realm of like climate designers and just climate anything is like the importance of holding on to that hope. And then also this community is just so wonderful because it's already there. So if somebody is struggling with stuff like this, you know, you just bring it up and you have so many people who are just like, we understand and we're all here together doing it together. So yeah, I guess I just wanted to bring a little attention to that and just say that I was like, I don't know, kind of scared.
Yeah. I am not sure exactly what the time frame is. I'll post a link to an article too. If you have one, you can post a link too. But I remember reading one recently that researchers are seeing signs that the Gulf Stream is at risk of collapse. And I think the main cause is that as the ice sheet on Greenland melts, more fresh water gets into the ocean and changes the density of the water. And so that changes the currents because the density of water and how things are deep. And anyway, it's a whole big thing. And changing the way that the whole oceans circulate would change enormous currents, weather patterns all over Europe. It's the thing that makes Europe warmer than it normally would be. And it would raise sea level on the east coast of the United States by a lot very quickly. Not to mention disrupt patterns in fishing and marine life, and probably even release a lot of CO2 as the ocean gets kind of like stirred up and changed around. So yes, it's a lot of things that are kind of scary. I don't know the timeline. So, you know, a lot of times researchers, when they are studying effects like this, like big global effects, they see early warning signs and risks and things that are like thousands of years out. So the newspapers sort of latch on to the outrage and scare tactics because it's what gets them more views. But sometimes they don't really highlight the fact that this is actually kind of going to happen pretty slowly. But like I said, I'm not sure exactly what the timeline is on this one.
That's helpful to hear though.
Yeah,
It
right?
really is.
Right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Cause you know, I am just reading these like articles. I don't know the actual science behind it. I don't know the timeline. I don't know any of that. So it's like very helpful to hear.
Yeah.
And I think this is a perfect example of the importance of looking at things in systems. You know, like Sarah just kind of went down a list of things that are going to be affected by this thing. And so it's just another example of how, how everything is connected. And as designers, we need to not only focus on the thing that we're doing, but also the before and after, all these other touch points. And it's something that I don't think a lot of the profession is really, I don't know, encouraging or incorporating this more systemic worldview. And so you can't talk about the climate without talking about a lot of different things that are associated with it. So, and it, for me, it all just comes back to how it is not a silver bullet solution. There's no one source of something that's causing all this. There's a lot of different things. And so if, as designers, if we can all kind of spread out and address all these different sources, hopefully at the same time, hopefully together in collaboration and in unity, then I think we have a chance of really rebalancing and renewing these systems. And if anything, maybe even letting go of some of these old systems and create new ones, you know, so everything's connected, y'all.
Yeah, I like how Danny, you brought up hope. I like to hang on to hope. One example that I think about a lot is the way that the ozone layer was discovered as a risk in the 80s. The whole of Antarctica was growing, and there was a risk identified. There was visualization. I actually just read an article last night that they quoted or from quoting the article, they said a canny videographer or animator. So like clever visualization. But the videographer painted the place where the ozone was thinning in like a shade of pink, and then time lapsed over time, and that pink grew and got more like dark red and scary looking. And so like Al Gore and other scientists presented this to the Senate, and the other thing that was really key there was a solution, and it was to ban CFCs. And since they had a solution, and since the solution wasn't like horrifyingly economically damaging, they did it. And now the ozone layer, I think, is healing a little bit, but there's also some other problems because of other things. But I like to lean on that as an example of sort of a what to do and what's possible. I think the what to do part is making things visual and understandable and clear. I think as designers, we can help with that. And also providing solutions. So the call to action of get off of fossil fuels is a really complex solution. There's a field manual called Rewiring America, where a scientist went through reports of the Department of Energy since the 70s and tracked all of the energy that's been used, and figured out how and where we could electrify and then switch to renewable energy. And so like there's a plan. And I do believe that some Congress people and maybe even the Biden administration are working with Saul Griffith and the Rewiring America team to help make some policies. Don't quote me on that, I don't know for sure, but it's a solution. The solution is much more complex because a lot of people need the fossil fuel industry right now to heat their homes and survive and to cook, and changing your furnace and your stove is not a small thing. So there's going to need to be a lot of government action in terms of like giving people loans so that they can make these infrastructure changes. And we just like really need to come together to do that and support that. But there is a solution, there is a plan. Renewable energy has gotten to a point where it can scale, is cheap enough. We have all of the pieces, we just need to put them together, and our infrastructure needs updating anyway. And the other thing that I think is really interesting and important is throughout the last 50 years or so, when the US makes a change, a lot of the other countries follow. So this is very US centric a little bit, but that's why, Canada is kind of following our lead, and China, you always say, is saying things like, well, if they're not doing it, we're not doing it. And there's this like back and forth going on. So I'm encouraged by all of that right now, and so I kind of hang on to those things as hope. I'm also encouraged by Europe is, leading the way, doing things much sooner and better than the US is. So I like to hold on to those things.
Thank you.
Danny, I can also relate to your experience. Like, I have this climate nexus email that shows up, and I was just like checking my email this morning, and it's like, why the ocean currents might stop. And I was just like, God, no, I don't want to read that right now. This is horrible. And one of my tactics I've developed is I give myself permission to just like not always read the horrific news. Like, I know I'm doing everything I can to like fight for climate action and like make a difference. And that means maybe I don't have to be alarmed and terrified by all the like doomsday climate news. So sometimes just don't read it or watch it or whatever.
+1 to that. If you want to subscribe to some different newsletters, Carbon 180 has a really, really good one. I think they send it weekly, and they're talking a lot about what people are doing to remove carbon from the atmosphere for reals and store it permanently. And they post a lot of really cool articles and uplifting stuff, and it's really exciting.
I'm gonna go check that one out, Sarah. Thank you.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I would say like in addition to like not watching the doomsday news, like focusing on all the solutions and like cool innovation that is happening in the climate space can make you feel like we're fixing things, even if you realize
Yeah.
the scale isn't there yet. Like, it helps.
Yeah, the thought that there's so many people who also care is very, very helpful.
And I think this is why we need to change that narrative, where we need to highlight the work that people are actually doing, the solutions, because people can rally around that. If we all just get bombarded 24/7 with these news channels, they're saying we're fucked, we're screwed, everything's on fire. Eventually we'll just turn that off, literally and figuratively. And so it's really important to highlight what's going on, to encourage, inspire people to say, hey, that looks cool, I want to do that. And then, at the same time, that can also yield new industries, new industries, whether it's carbon removal, like Carbon 180, or we have a pair of grad students in our class this summer that their project is in the alternative protein industry, i.e. lab grown meat. And so, at this point, we need anything and everything. We can't be picky in terms of what solutions we need to address or put energy towards. We just need to try anything and everything, throw everything at the wall, of course, being aware and mindful and considerate, of course. But yeah, more doom and gloom.
Yeah.
I think it would also be helpful because I think there's so many people that don't think that these solutions already exist. Like, there's so many people that are just like oblivious to the fact that like we have the solutions. It's about you like pressuring like corporations to change their fucking ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have these solutions and we're not implementing them because it's not fucking profitable. And it's infuriating that like just because a handful of billionaires want to keep extracting from this planet, they are not going to change the way that we do stuff. And I think I know that we've talked about this like chicken and the egg, individual actions versus, these big these big systemic actions and stuff. And it's like, it's beyond the point that like us not using plastic straws is going to change anything. It's all about changing not just like the way that we get our energy, like switching from fossil fuels to renewable energy, because that shit's still extracting from the earth. Like, you're going to make solar panels, you're going to make these fucking batteries where you have to overthrow governments in Bolivia and kill people in the global south. Like, fuck, just stop overproducing stuff that people aren't even consuming. Like, I think that like we just need this huge overhaul in our mindset, in the ways that we think about how we live. Yeah, degrowth, the less is more book that you're reading right now. Like, it's so yeah, I hate that, the corporations and the politicians that are in charge just act like, oh, it's going to take so long to get there. Like, you have the power to have done that a decade ago, but you are so stuck in your ways of creating billions for yourself that you're not going to change. So that's my morning outrage.
Can I clip that and share it on social media? Sweet. Yeah. Jason Hickel, follow him on Twitter and read his book. It's really, really good.
Oh, I also wanted to add, like, when Danny was talking about stuff in the news this week, like, another city, an entire town, Greenville, California, that's not very far from Paradise, burned to the ground, just like Paradise did. And I feel like it's barely even making the news. It's like, as these events become more and more common, we're going to like desensitize to it. Like, oh, we just lost another town full of people. Oh, well, like we need to, yeah, like, keep caring about this stuff and not let it just become normalized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentioned Katie Patrick's Fitbit for the Planet. She's sharing a lot of research that's being done on people's attitudes about the climate crisis and how people are reacting to these doom and gloom news stories versus solutions-based news. And the solutions-based news is far more effective at getting people to keep caring, keep engaged, and keep active. The doom and gloom shuts people down. It, you know, the researchers are seeing that there's possibly a freeze that's happening as people grapple with like what to do. And then there's this outrage fatigue that happens where people just tune out. They don't want to hear it anymore because you're not giving them a solution. You're not giving them any power over the situation. You're just constantly hitting them over the head with how bad things are and giving them fear and paralyzation. And so people tune you out and you can't move forward with that. So we have to be focusing on, even if we share one of these actions, I mean, things that happened, we have to also follow that up with an action that you can do, making that action really easy. As designers, we can do stuff like that. I mean, one of the things that I also think about is the So You Think You Can Instagram account, how they went on a campaign where they allowed everybody to easily fill out and send a postcard to, I think, like Mitch McConnell, about a certain issue. I don't remember what it was, but just like the concept of doing that was so powerful, where it was like really easy to send a buttload of postcards to a representative and make a big impact.
I think the other thing that I've been thinking about lately, because I follow so many people on Instagram, I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Grocery Nerd, because he posts a lot about our food systems and regenerative agriculture. And he posted something about, you know, it popped up when somebody mentioned something about lab grown meat, because it was like Impossible Burger, which by the way uses GMO, soy, whatever. They received millions of dollars in funding for Impossible Burger. And he was like, imagine if all of that money went to our farmers to like start them on like using regenerative practices instead of all of the like Monsanto and pesticides and shit that they use now. Like, I think the redistribution of our wealth, instead of like, this is the solution, Impossible Burger for everybody, here's all the money, like spread that out to people who are already growing healthy food naturally out of the ground, make the soil healthier. Like, yeah, so that's, I've been thinking about that too. Like, there's not going to be like that one magic thing that we should all get behind. Like help the people that have already been doing the right thing and help them do it better.
Yes. Preach. If anyone has to hop off, it is the top of the hour, so I don't want to keep you. But we'll stay on. This is a great conversation. So.
I actually do have to go, but I will watch the rest of the recording later.
I'm so glad that you were able to share your climate anxiety with us, and hopefully we were able to help.
I feel so much better. I was like worrying about my whole day. How am I going to handle this? So I feel a lot better. Thank you.
It's good to see you again, Danny.
Yes, good to see everyone. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, Danny.
Bye.
Bye, Virginia.
And we've talked about this before, this idea of like climate anxiety and stuff. And I would love to find more of an expert to come in and have some sort of conversation with our community about this stuff. I think it's really important because
Mhm.
this feeling, these emotions can really take a toll on us. And the last thing we need to happen is people drop out, people drop out of the hard work that needs to be done. And so, I don't, maybe it's called burnout, maybe it's something else, but
Mhm.
how do we condition our minds, bodies, and hearts to understand what's going on while at the same time keeping up with what we need to do. And I saw someone say this somewhere on social, but it's okay to take a rest, knowing that there's other people to kind of step up and take your place for a little bit. And if we can continue to kind of do that and kind of go into these cycles, I think we can kind of keep that momentum going. So if any of you have read anyone or know of anyone who is kind of talking about this stuff, let us know. We would definitely love to have some sort of event or something.
I have
I think it's
something you're making me think of.
Mhm.
Has anybody been reading Coming Back to Life? It was published in 2014, but I just picked it up and just heard about it. It's by Joanna Macy and Molly Brown. And it is, I remember I read like 5 different books at once, but when I was reading this one, it was like really feeling, it was giving me life. It was making me feel like this is what I need right now. I had also joined a book club to discuss a field guide to climate anxiety. If anyone knows anything about that, I actually haven't started reading it. I failed my book club. Just like didn't do it. Which is by
Everything fails. You'll
Sarah,
get there.
I know, by Sarah Jaquette Ray. But yeah, I failed on that one. I'll get there exactly. Another one you're making me think of, Mark, is a book that I read that was really helpful called something about stewardship. Trauma stewardship, which is all about staying in the fight with activist groups. And it talks a lot about climate activism and others. Let's see, that one is it's called Trauma Stewardship, an everyday guide to caring for self while caring for others, by Laura van der Noot Lipsky with Connie Burke.
I really liked how in the party program there was a speaker who talked about human design and human behavior. I think it's really interesting when it comes to choices and communicating. Like, I'm curious to explore that again, especially when it comes to like encouraging friends and family and housemates to like implement more sustainable practices. I feel like a lot of that conversation, like approaching it in a positive way that people get excited about, I think that's interesting to explore. Um, also would love some guidance in regards to like having those conversations of like, hey, like here's some ways we can save water or electricity, and not coming off as being like, all right, this is what we have to do or this is what we should do. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like I'm in this space of trying to yeah, just like have people care, like have people give a fuck. So being in this space, like being with all of you, like it's really refreshing to have other people who care, but I feel like it's going to take more people to care and have these same passions. Who was that, by the way? The climate designer who spoke on like human behavior?
That was Dina Rosen.
Oh, right. Yeah.
She's a UX designer / behavior scientist or whatever. I think more of that needs to be in our industry, more behavior design,
science.
behavior science. Totally. I was sitting in, so I was just typing this, but I'll say it now that since I'm talking. Rachel Gula, you should definitely start listening to Katie Patrick's podcast. She does a great job of figuring out ways to resonate with people, messaging approaches. I listened to one recently the other day, actually, on, I think it's maybe 2 months old. It was a podcast on, I think the title was like why vegans are losing their fight or something. And it's basically how we need to maybe reimagine how people with a plant-based diet approach people that don't eat, that do eat meat, and just the language that we use and how we approach it's really fascinating. So, but a lot of her episodes speak to this idea of just how do we bring these conversations up, how do we approach people, using, you know, some of these things that we're talking about around behavior science. But yeah, yesterday I was sitting in on Eric Benson's Climify panel during the AIGA Shift conference focused on design education for the last week. And Katie Patrick was on the panel, which was great. And towards the end of the discussion and stuff like this, you know, just like with coffee breaks, like we really don't get to the meat of good stuff until like the end and like, oh, we have to go. But towards the end, they were bringing up behavior change in design. And I was just like, yes, more of that in the comments. You know, we need more of that. So I would love to see design schools specifically, but also our industry embrace this idea and treat it more as a skill, just like color theory and, you know, material usage and whatever. Like, this should definitely be a skill at the foundational level that designers can have in their toolkit, because it's so important when it comes to the work that we do, because we can create a cool looking poster, flashy website, whatever, right? But if it doesn't do the thing that we want people to do, then it just goes out the window. And so what are the ways that we can tap into what's in between our ears to make change actually happen, and to figure out the most appropriate ways of going about doing that, so that real change actually happens. So more of that.
Yeah, Mark showed me a video of something he shared in his climate designers class at CCA, and he brought in a behavior science expert to talk about 6 levers of persuasion and behavior science. And one of the things that stood out to me was she said there's 3 that environmentalists use a lot, like informing people, and I don't know what the other 2 were, like showing stats and authority or something like that. So I think this relates specifically to what Rachel was saying, like, don't just try and it was like regulating, so like making rules and coming down hard, or just like hitting people with the science and informing them. I don't know what the other one was. But there were 3 others. Sorry?
Wasn't the one that she shared about like creating a sense of competition, like your neighbor's saving more, and then that's what I love, like kind of making it a game.
Yeah, that might have been one of the 3 that she brought up as like, we're trying to do more of this. And the other 3 were sort of appealing to people's more primal emotional sides. So yeah, like their competitive side, showing them that other people are doing this. So like the social peer pressure influence side. Yeah, you know, I'd have to go look them all up again, but like we need to use all of the tactics, because Lord knows that the climate deniers and fossil fuel industries have been using those emotional and primal tactics on us for decades. So we need to educate ourselves about what actually works. It's not always informing people or coming down hard with regulations. And there are lots of fun ways to do it too, where we can be more positive and enjoyable, like competition and gamifying stuff, which is why we keep talking about Katie Patrick, because that's her whole shtick. It's really cool. All right, meetings, have fun. Thanks for the awesome conversation. Cool.
Yeah, thanks y'all. Have a good weekend and rest of the week. Or no, it is Friday. Duh, never mind.